My name is Nick, and I'm going to be the next school shooter of 2018. My goal is at least 20 people with an AR-15 and a couple tracer rounds. I think I can get it done. Location is Stone Douglas in Parkland, Florida.
Since the release late Wednesday of this chilling video from Parkland shooter Nikolas Cruz, the debate over how to keep our schools safe has heated up again. A rally in New York City outside of City Hall today. John Shumo has the details. John, what do you got?
Bill, Americans have been debating this issue for decades, right? Next year marks the 20th anniversary of the Columbine high school shooting. Prosecutors in Florida released those cell phone videos as they build their case specifically for the death penalty for the confessed shooter, Nikolas Cruz. These videos are chilling, as you mentioned. One of the clips, he proudly proclaims that he is going to be the next school shooter of 2018. He plots the attack out with his AR-15. Prosecutors think this proves the attack was premeditated, which rises to first-degree murder, a capital offense under Florida law. If convicted, the teenager would be the youngest of the 347 death row inmates currently in Florida. Bill, President Trump visited survivors and family members of the victims of another school shooting today. He flew to Houston, Texas for what was originally scheduled for just a day of fundraising, but yesterday the White House announced he would also be meeting with those affected by the massacre at Santa Fe High School nearby. 8 students and 2 teachers were killed during that shooting earlier this month. Bill, tomorrow is June 1st, National Gun Violence Awareness Day. You see people wearing orange. That's why they support efforts to end these shootings. Why orange? Orange was the favorite color of a 15-year-old girl who was shot and killed in Chicago a few years ago. Her friends started wearing orange as a sign of support for her, and the idea just grew from there. Bill?
All right, thank you, John. I want to now bring in an expert on the subject, psychology, and what could have been going on in this young man's mind. Dr. Jeff Gardier is a clinical psychologist. Doc, welcome back to Chasing News. How are you?
Always a pleasure. Doing well, sir.
So let me ask you, you watched this video. The video is very unsettling, very disturbing, very hard to watch. But is this something that you look at as someone who is mentally disturbed, mentally ill, or are we looking into the face of evil?
Great question, and I will give you the clinical observation of this. This is the face of evil. This is someone who's not schizophrenic, where they're having auditory or visual hallucinations. Instead, this is someone who is a pure personality disorder, pathological, someone who is something between a sociopath and a psychopath.
So on that, I've said this before, we've had this conversation on the show, that you go back over a 7-year period where this kid was identified. Could you make the argument that the shooter was arguably the first victim of a failed system that failed to recognize how to treat this kind of a disorder, this kind of evil, this kind of thinking? Law enforcement interactions dozens of times over 7 years.
I absolutely agree with you. I think this is a kid who actually fell through the cracks. There were all sorts of warning signs that he had mental health issues. We don't diagnose someone with a personality disorder before the age of 18. So more could have been done to help this individual before he got to the point of becoming a psycho or a sociopath.
When you see me on the news, you'll all know who I am. You're all going to die.
Let's bring back tonight's A-plus panel. Bill, I'm going to start with you.
Hey, Bill.
You heard what Dr. Gardier said, face of evil. I think many people are going to agree with that statement. But at the same time, death penalty for somebody who arguably should have gotten help long before law enforcement failed to identify the threat. I mean, back 12, 13, 14 years old. Still a kid.
Yeah, and it was systematic. I mean, there's so many breakdowns from what we learned about the history of this child. Adopted parents dying, social services getting involved and diagnosing this kid with mental illness, actually recommending that he be involuntary committed. And then my question is, and how in God's name is he ever able to purchase a firearm? And how wasn't that flagged? So I think there's a lot of breakdowns that, you know, the system did not do well by this kid.
Allison, death penalty?
The fact is, he lives in Florida, and Florida is a death penalty heavy state. They have the second largest death row in the country. It's not favorable for him. I think these videos are actually going to hurt him, because to me, he appears extremely lucid. It's premeditated. In evaluating this originally, the state attorney said this is the kind of case that the death penalty was created for.
What was your emotional reaction when you watched the video? It's hard to not have a reaction to it.
It's absolutely stunning. The callousness of the video when he giggles at the end, like this is happening, I'm going to do it, and I find it funny. As a parent, it's chilling.
Yeah, I'm mixed. I mean, there's a part of me that's just angry. You know, you just look at that and you get angry. But there is a part of me as a parent that you kind of, your heart breaks, because no one helped this kid. I mean, he was left to fend for himself, and then this nightmare was created as a result of it. So there's a part of me that looks at this and says, how broken is this child, and how did this happen?
And he uses the word lonely so many times.
Yeah,
that's the heartbreaking
yeah.
part. I'm all alone. I am lonely.
I live a lone life, live in seclusion and solitude. I hate everyone and everything. With the power of my AR, you will all know who I am.